36,000 feet over the Nevada desert, a commercial airliner cuts through clear sky until two F-22 Raptors slide into formation, so close their wingtips almost kiss the cabin windows. Inside C-12F, a woman doesn't flinch. No phone, no glance, just a pen moving across a crossword. Then the cockpit door opens. The captain calls her forward and patches a secure line straight to the lead fighter. A single question crackles through the headset. Confirm your call sign. Her answer stops the room cold and triggers a chain of events that will end with the most dangerous test flight of her life. Flight 2336 cut through a cloudless New Mexico sky. Sunlight sharp on the aluminum skin. On the starboard side, a gray shape slid into view, an F-22 Raptor, close enough for the rivets to glint. In seat 12F, Major Lisa Reynolds didn't look up. Her pen moved steadily over a crossword grid, blue ink filling neat squares. Phones clicked around her. Passengers pressed the windows, voices rising with excitement. A toddler squealed. A businessman unbuckled to get a better angle for his video. One flight attendant moved quickly down the aisle, telling people to sit. Another fighter appeared on the port side, a mirror image of the first. They held perfect formation, a silent bracket of stealth and power. Lisa's eyes flicked sideways once, taking in wing position and clean pylons. No external weapons, no drogue tanks. Training or escort by the book. She went back to the crossword. The airframe was steady, no turbulence. Inside, the noise from other passengers swelled. Jennifer Hayes, senior flight attendant, leaned toward her row. 12 years flying, she whispered. Never seen this. Lisa allowed herself the smallest smile. They're good pilots, she said, and nothing more. At 54, the art of being invisible was second nature. It had kept her safe long after she'd left the Air Force. 15 years earlier, a high-altitude test had gone wrong. Complete avionics failure at 45,000 feet. She had ejected at the edge of consciousness, her arm shattered on impact with the desert floor. The titanium in her shoulder came from that day. So did the faint scar along her hairline, hidden now by careful styling. Her flight status had been revoked before she could recover. The official report cited medical concerns and operational limitations. Translation: damaged goods. After that came Denver, small apartment overlooking the mountains, morning hikes through red rocks, quiet work on old civilian avionics systems. No more bases, no more call signs, no more supersonic heartbeats at altitude. This trip was supposed to be simple. A 3-day interview in Phoenix with Meridian Defense Systems, carry-on luggage only. She'd been consulting on legacy aircraft modifications. Steady work that paid well and asked no uncomfortable questions about her past. Now 2 Raptors were shadowing the flight, so close she could see the pilot helmets gleaming through canopies. The symmetry of their flight path was flawless. Lisa noticed the subtle corrections on each wingtip, automatic, precise. Her hand twitched once, the old muscle memory of holding a stick. The captain's voice came over the PA. The military aircraft alongside are on a routine exercise. Nothing to worry about. Some passengers laughed nervously. Others kept filming. Lisa filled in another clue. 7 letters, military jet. Fighter. 20 minutes in, the Raptors edged even closer. Their shadows slid across the 737's windows. Every face along the aisle turned outward. Then the PA crackled again. Passenger in seat 12F, please press your call button. The cabin went still. Eyes turned toward her row. Lisa's thumb rested over the small plastic button. 3 seconds passed, long enough to consider the implications, short enough to avoid drawing more attention. She pressed it. Jennifer appeared almost instantly. Ma'am, the captain would like you at the flight deck. Lisa kept her pen, set the crossword aside, stood. The walk forward felt longer than it should. Whispers followed. Who is she? Did something happen? A man stepped aside to let her pass, curiosity naked on his face. The cockpit door was open. Captain Rodriguez gestured her in. Beside him, First Officer Martinez's gaze stayed fixed on the radio panel, professional tension radiating from his shoulders. I've never had a request like this, Captain Rodriguez said, his voice carefully neutral. The lead Raptor wants to speak with you. Secure channel. Lisa looked past them to the sky ahead. The lead fighter bore the tailcode of Peterson Air Force Base, Colorado. Her pulse ticked once. Recognition, memory, a door she thought was permanently sealed. That unit had been hers back when the F-22 was still classified, when test pilots signed documents they couldn't discuss with their own families. First Officer Martinez said, "Falcon 1 is ready for you. Frequency 243.0, military emergency channel." Lisa took the headset. Static filled her ears, then a voice she knew from another lifetime. "Passenger Reynolds, seat 12F. Authentication Sierra 7 Charlie, 9-0. How copy?" She answered without hesitation, muscle memory overriding 15 years of civilian life. "Falcon 1, this is Reynolds. Copy 5x5. A pause longer than protocol allowed. Then, "Need to verify your identity. Previous call sign and last duty assignment." Her fingers tightened on the headset cable. She thought of the years since she last said aloud, the weight of a name she'd carried into black. Ghost? Edwards Flight Test Center. F-22 Avionics Integration Program. Block 30 through 50 modifications. The cockpit went silent. Captain Rodriguez and First Officer Martinez were staring at her now, seeing her differently. The voice in her ear returned, warmer, edged with something that might have been relief. "Ghost, honor to have you with us. We have a cold black situation. Prepare for immediate diversion." The turn began without warning. Flight 2336 bank left, throttles easing, nose dipping toward the desert. On both flanks, the F-22 slid in tighter, wingtip steady as rulers. Seatbelt signs chimed. Captain Rodriguez's voice was calm, clipped professional. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're diverting to Desert Sky International for routine coordination with military traffic." The cabin hushed. Phones lowered. Even the toddler stopped fussing. Lisa kept her hands folded, her crossword forgotten. She watched sunlight roll along a Raptor's spine like quicksilver. The airliner descended through thin haze. Las Vegas shimmered far to the east, a pale grid against sand. The escorts tucked closer, as if shielding the 737 from crosswinds. Touchdown was smooth, reverse thrust, long deceleration, brakes firm. The F-22 stayed above the runway, then drifted into a wide holding pattern. They taxied to a remote stand. No terminal, no jet bridge. 2 black vans and a line of security personnel waited beyond a mobile stare. The desert heat hit like a wall at the door. Out on the apron, a Black Hawk idled with its rotors cutting heat shimmer. No markings, only dull olive paint and a film of dust. A woman in duty blues stepped forward. Staff Sergeant Maria Santos. Her salute was crisp, her eyes steady. She held out a flight suit and a sealed helmet bag. "Colonel Richardson requests immediate transport to Red Mesa Air Base." Lisa let the words settle for half a heartbeat. She took the suit without comment. 15 years since she'd last worn one. The fibers felt the same, tight weave, faint detergent, ghost of hydraulic oil that never quite washed out. They turned the storage office into a changing room. Santos waited outside with practiced patience. Lisa moved quickly, buckles, zippers, G-suit connections, boots that remembered the shape of her feet. She stepped back into the sun, helmet in hand. The helicopter's downwash tugged at her sleeves. Santos guided her low and fast across the tarmac. Inside, the cabin was bare. Web seats, a medkit, 2 crew chiefs strapped in. One handed Lisa a headset and pointed to a harness. They lifted almost vertically. The airport slid backward, runway markings shrinking into geometry. Desert swallowed everything: red rock, black scars of old roads, chalky dry lakes. 12 minutes later, test grids appeared below. White panels, faded triangles, rusted towers. Lisa recognized the pattern from a life she'd put away. Red Mesa Air Base rose out of heat shimmer, blast walls, hardened shelters, a line of gray aircraft under shade. The briefing room was white noise and cold light, for people waited at a polished table. "Colonel James Richardson," said the man in the flight jacket, gray at the temples, lines around his eyes that spoke of decisions made at altitude. Dr. Patricia Kim, added civilian with thin-rimmed glasses and a tablet that never left her hands. Lieutenant Colonel David Park, said the officer with systems patches on his sleeve. Captain Sarah Chun, test pilot, said the woman with perfect posture and alert eyes that missed nothing. Lisa nodded once to each name. Richardson began without preamble. 3 days. 17 F-22s, East Coast airspace. Lieutenant Colonel Park tapped his tablet, throwing data to a wall display. Loss of sensor fusion, he said. Only at altitude, above 35,000 feet. Only under active radar, not software. Dr. Kim cut in, her voice precise. We've scrubbed it twice. She flicked to a log diagram. Spikes of foreign energy bloomed like thorns along a baseline. Anomalous signals, not in any known threat library. Not ours, not theirs. Captain Chen's voice was even. Symptoms are intermittent. Pilots retain control, but situational awareness collapses, like flying blind in bright daylight. She added, almost under her breath, 3 near misses over the Atlantic. Pure luck they didn't become statistics. Lisa leaned closer to the data. Time intervals? Short bursts, Dr. Kim answered, bringing up a new display. Sequenced, adaptive, then gone. The pattern suggests learning behavior. Lisa studied the waveforms. Her mind, trained by years of test flying and systems integration, began parsing the chaos into structure. Show me the carrier hop pattern. Dr. Kim brought up a spectral map, a dense forest of needles jumping across frequencies like a living thing. Not brute force, Lisa said after a moment. Targeted. Low probability of intercept. Timing keyed to our own sensor cycles. Park's eyes sharpened. You're thinking inside knowledge or extremely fast learning? Lisa replied. Machine learning with access to our training data. Either way, we treat it as hostile until proven otherwise. Richardson slid a folder across the table. 11 incidents tied to squadrons after combined exercises with allies. Access increases during those windows. Dr. Kim said, data flows multiply. Foreign nationals, liaison officers, contractors. Lisa kept her tone neutral. I need a list of every foreign national with exposure to F-22 operations in the last 18 months. Pilots, maintainers, liaison officers, contractors. Any level, any base. Dr. Kim hesitated. That list touches multiple governments and several congressional committees. It'll touch them harder if we stall, Lisa said. Choose politics or consequences. Silence settled for a measured beat. Richardson nodded once. You'll have the list. Lisa moved to a secure terminal. A technician logged her in with temporary credentials. Clearance tokens loaded, compartments opened, caveats stacked like digital barriers. She built a query quickly. Foreign access approvals, dates, bases, cross-reference against maintenance downloads, and after-action data pools. Another filter. Unusual travel by American personnel with access to source code or avionics schematics. A third filter. Financial anomalies flagged in security reviews. Names filled the screen. Most were noise, routine audits, clear explanations, closed cases. One drifted to the top with repeated flags and a long access trail. Dr. Michael Thompson, Senior Systems Engineer, Apex Dynamics. Dr. Kim's head came up. He's been on every major avionics upgrade since Block 30. Travel records? Lisa asked. Domestic primarily, a technician answered. Then 2 trips to Macau on personal leave. Deposits. The technician swallowed. 6 anomalies in 6 months. Cash equivalents. Structured transfers. Amounts consistent with intelligence payments. Dr. Kim looked sick. If this is wrong, we destroy a career. If it's right and we hesitate, we lose an air fleet, Lisa said. She pulled up access logs. Thompson's credentials have been used after hours to open fusion modules in read-only mode. Park frowned. That shouldn't trip anything unless he wrote the access profile himself. Or someone supplied a shadow token, Lisa said. Richardson typed a short message into a black device that wasn't quite a computer. FBI liaison is on it. Surveillance. Immediate. No contact. Lisa drilled into mission timelines, overlaying Thompson's travel with interference events. The correlation was too clean, too consistent. Timing is a language, she murmured. A low chime sounded from the ceiling. The room's status lights flicked from white to amber. Richardson pressed his earpiece, listened, then turned the display to a new feed. NORAD uplink diagnostics blossomed across the wall. Dr. Kim went pale. Those aren't our test ranges. No, Richardson said evenly. That's Cheyenne Mountain feed. Telemetry bars dipped. Error counters spiked in clean, rhythmic towers. The waveform from East Coast fighter logs appeared again, stronger, more confident. Satellite relay, Lisa asked. A technician's hands moved fast across his console. Commercial transponder over the Gulf. Modulation looks familiar. Familiar how? Identical to what we saw an hour ago, Captain Chen said. Dr. Kim stared at the time code. It started the moment you opened Thompson's file. 2 beats of deep quiet followed. No one moved. Richardson spoke first. Assume monitoring of investigative queries. Assume they know what we know. Lisa's voice stayed steady. Then we stopped broadcasting our intentions. Park killed every external port. The door locks engaged an audible thunk. The black device on the table lit a second green LED. Code black extends to satellite communications, Richardson said. Multi-domain, synchronized attack. Dr. Kim's mouth tightened. This is a rehearsal. Lisa didn't look away from the screen. Or phase 1. The call came just after dawn. FBI surveillance had lost Dr. Michael Thompson. Somewhere between the Palmdale facility and his home in Lancaster, he'd vanished. 3 vehicle swaps, each exploiting blind zones and traffic cameras. Routes threaded through areas with known dead angles in aerial coverage. This wasn't panic. This was extraction planned by professionals. In Red Mesa's electronic warfare lab, the air smelled of ozone and warm circuitry. Lisa stood beside Captain Chun, eyes fixed on a wall of spectral plots. Every signal spike was color-coded, each a possible attack vector. They'd built a simulation from the raw logs. Playback showed the fusion network collapse exactly as pilots had reported. It's not coming from ground stations, Chin said, expanding the origin map. A single icon pulsed in geostationary orbit. Lisa leaned in. Commercial satellite modified transponders. Her jaw set. They're walking straight into our frequency bands. The precision was unnerving, not scattershot jamming, but surgical cuts aimed at F-22 avionics. Whoever was running it knew the architecture down to the clock cycle. Dr. Kim entered with a tablet, her tone clipped. It's not just us anymore. She dropped a global map onto the main screen. Flashing markers lit over Sydney, Portsmouth, and Brest. Royal Air Force, French Navy, Royal Australian Air Force. All hit within the last 12 hours. She tapped the table. Same waveform, same sequence, same surgical precision. The room went still. Park broke it first. That's coordination on a scale we haven't seen outside war games. Dr. Kim's eyes met Lisa's. We have payment cross matches, financial traces. The hub points to Beijing, but they're not acting alone. We're seeing patterns of insider access across allied programs. Lisa absorbed it without outward reaction. Networks inside the wire. Dr. Kim nodded. Plural. Richardson's voice carried from the doorway. We can't stay defensive forever. We need a counterpunch. His gaze shifted to Lisa. That means you back in the cockpit. The medical bay smelled faintly of antiseptic and rubber seals. Dr. Angela Martinez ran Lisa through the standard flight clearance protocol. Vision, reflexes, cardiovascular stress, all measured against operational thresholds. Lisa's breathing stayed steady under the treadmill mask. Her pulse was better than expected for her age. Years of hiking Colorado's 14ers had done their work. Dr. Martinez scanned the results. You're clear for cockpit duty, but I want daily vitals during operations. She paused, stylus hovering over her tablet. That shoulder's gonna hurt at high G. The titanium conducts temperature differently than bone. Lisa signed a medical waiver, without hesitation. I'll manage. In the locker room, Chun waited with a folded sheet of paper. She handed it over without speaking. On it, a pencil drawing of an F-22 canopy tilted as if in salute. Lisa recognized the shaky lines from row 11 on flight 2336, the boy who'd been live streaming to his friends. His initials were in the corner, TR. She folded it neatly and slid it into the left chest pocket of her flight suit. The next briefing was in a smaller, windowless room. Fewer people, only those who would be in the test envelope. Chin outlined the countermeasure package: adaptive frequency hopping, layered encryption, AI-assisted pattern recognition. The defensive system would learn in real time, evolving faster than any human operator could manage. Park covered the telemetry handling, which would run parallel to mission-critical systems. If the countermeasures failed, they'd still have flight data to understand why. Dr. Kim reviewed the risks. Hostile AI might learn in real time. If it's faster than our defenses, we could lose the aircraft and pilot. Richardson waited until the end. Then he set both hands flat on the table. Ghost, you're not here just to analyze logs. Lisa held his gaze. I figured. He nodded once. You'll fly the first live countermeasure run against active hostile signals. Chen's eyebrows lifted slightly. Dr. Kim shifted in her chair, but said nothing. The weight of the choice hung between them like a hell breath. Richardson continued. We need the best combination of system knowledge and test pilot instincts. That's you. He added, our intelligence suggests the other side wanted this. Wanted you in that cockpit. Lisa felt the paper in her chest pocket, pressed lightly as she breathed. A child's drawing of hope and possibility. Then we make sure they get more than they bargained for. The hangar doors slid apart like curtains, revealing a stage. F-22, tail number 9248, waited under the shade, panels flush, new apertures along the chine barely visible to the untrained eye. The countermeasure pod beneath the fuselage looked like standard external fuel, but Lisa knew better. She fastened her harness and felt the seat cradle her spine, memory flooding back. Ground crew backed away with practiced efficiency. Chen's voice checked in from the chase plane, calm and close. Folks, chase is green. We'll maintain 1 mile abeam, offset high. Power up was clean. The new countermeasure core ran a silent self-test. Its status bar a quiet ribbon along the left multifunction display. No anomalies, no flags, just a ready light that meant more than any medal. Taxi was short across the sun-bleached ramp. Winds favored the long runway pointing toward the red mesas. Control cleared them without delay. Ghost 9248 cleared for immediate takeoff. Lisa lined the nose on centerline and advanced the throttles. The jet surged like it had been waiting all day for this moment. Rotation was a breath and a number. Gear up, flaps up, climb rate pinned at maximum sustainable. The desert flattened to a map under the canopy. She climbed through 20,000 feet, then 28,000. Cabin pressure and oxygen read normal. Engine temp steady in the green. Chin slid into position off her right shoulder, tiny and precise against the endless blue. Profile begins at 35. Richardson's controller set over the secure net. Activate all sensors and hold wings level for 2 minutes. Copy, Lisa answered, her hand light on the stick. At 35,000 feet, she armed the radar, brought the arrays to full power, and let the system breathe. The displays brightened with the world's return. Aircraft hundreds of miles away, weather patterns, the electronic heartbeat of civilization below. The first tap was polite. A faint ripple along the electronic warfare bar, almost like a cough. Then a second, stronger, more precise. Here it comes, Chin said, her tone tightening without rising. Lisa watched the spectral ladder bloom in disciplined steps. Every rung aligned with a known heartbeat of the F-22's electronic brain. The defensive AI made its move immediately. Frequency hops came fast. Too fast for human hands, sliding the signals into narrow electromagnetic shelters. Encryption altered its digital skin mid-flight, keys rolling like tumblers in an infinite lock. The attackers adapted with frightening speed. New electronic needles stabbed in at shifted timings, clever and incremental. They probed edges that had been safe a microsecond before. Like two machines outsmarting each other every millisecond, Chin said. The jamming hit harder. One multifunction display flickered to static, then returned with a half-second lag. Lisa logged the delay without thinking, her mind moving faster than any pen ever could. The AI shifted again, frequencies blurring and snapping to new slots like a magician's cards. Then the pressure came in pulses. Avionics rode the electronic crest and dipped under the next wave. Small alarms chirped into silence before they could bloom into full warnings. A new tactic arrived like a digital curtain falling. The heads-up display dimmed, hesitated, then died. 6 seconds of black HUD at altitude was an ocean of time. Lisa's left hand moved instinctively to the standby instruments. Right hand trimming by feel alone. The nose stayed true because she made it stay true. Muscle memory and inner ear and 15 years of dreams about flying again all converging in this moment. HUD down. 6 seconds, she reported, her voice flat as still water. Reverting to backup. Attitude stable. Her eyes never left the backup attitude indicator. That simple gyroscope that saved more pilots than any computer ever would. The countermeasure core clawed back against the electronic assault. The HUD winked alive. Vectors repainted. Symbology reassembled as if nothing had happened. State restored, she reported and took one slow breath. Copy all, Chin said. Chase has you solid visual. No drift. Data stream is beautiful. Ghost, execute maneuver package Bravo. Richardson's controller said. Lisa rolled 5 degrees, eased into a climb, then dipped and leveled. The pattern forced the interference to pick a lane, to commit to a strategy. The rhythm of electronic warfare shifted. Her display stopped stuttering and began to sing in harmonious frequencies. Countermeasure efficacy rising. Ground called. Hostile signal-to-noise ratio deteriorating. Chen's tone brightened by a hair. They don't like this song. The hostile signal spiked once, hard and frustrated. They tried a composite pulse, a blend of every trick they'd shown that day, a digital haymaker thrown with desperate force. The defense didn't dodge. It met the attack head-on and split it like light through a prism, scattering the hostile energy into harmless fragments. Then, as if a switch had been flipped somewhere in space, the electromagnetic field went quiet. Spectral bars slid to baseline. Every page on every screen looked like a textbook example of normal operation. Ghost interference ceased. All systems nominal. Affirm. Came back, layered with relief that no one tried to hide. Lisa held the profile, watching for the telltale electronic burr of a renewed attack. Nothing came. The sky stayed honest. The radios clear. The system singing in electronic harmony. Chase, you still with me? She asked. Always, Jim replied. Recommend we bring this home before they change their mind. Ghost 9248 cleared return to base. Control said. Lisa set to send parameters and broke the electronic silence with the numbers that mattered. Fuel remaining, engine temperatures, flight path. All ordinary readings on a day that was anything but ordinary. Touchdown at red, Mesa came with a familiar bark of tires on concrete. The jet rolled straight and true, light as if it had shed weight in the sky. Chocks in, power down. Canopy open to hot air and the wider sound of a world at peace. On the ramp, Richardson waited with 2 analysts and the electronic warfare data crew. They skipped congratulations and moved straight to downloading everything. Flight tape, logs, AI state changes. The digital DNA of victory poured into secure drives. In the debrief room, the first readouts drew a single long breath from everyone present. The hostile network had adapted, learned, evolved, but not fast enough. The learning curve had bent their way by degrees that counted. The pattern recognition subroutines performed beyond specifications. Dr. Kim said, scrolling through mountains of data. Adaptation time decreased by 40% over the course of the engagement. Chun pulled up the frequency analysis. They threw everything they had at us in that final composite pulse. When it failed, they had nothing left. Hours later, a liaison stepped in with a coded message. FBI had raided a safe house outside Tijuana. Dr. Michael Thompson was in custody along with 3 co-conspirators and 2 laptops still warm from use. The data path from orbit to ground had been mapped completely. Satellite time purchased through cutouts, encryption keys injected by hands that had once signed American security forms. Chain rolls up from here, Dr. Kim said, exhausted but certain. No more borrowed skyways for electronic warfare. Park circled a waveform display, like he could pinch the hostile signal out of existence. We'll need to validate the countermeasures across the entire fleet. Every F-22, every software block, every possible engagement scenario. Richardson nodded. That starts tomorrow. Tonight, we celebrate a victory that nobody outside this room will ever hear about. Evening came fast in the desert. Heat left in waves, and ramp lights blinked awake one by one. Lisa walked back to tail number 9248 and laid her palm against the nose, feeling the metal that had carried her safely through electronic fire. Richardson found her there, sleeves pushed up, tie undone. "Back to the quiet life in Denver?" he asked. "Or stay in the noise?" His smile was small and real, the expression of a commander who'd watched something impossible become routine. Lisa touched the left chest pocket where a child's drawing rested. The boy from Flight 2336 who'd sketched an F-22 in salute, never knowing that his simple art would ride into combat. "Go still as work," she said, "and this is where it counts." He nodded like he'd been expecting that answer all day. "We'll expand the countermeasure package across the fleet. You'll help write the flight test cards. Train the next generation of electronic warfare specialists. Tomorrow," she said, and meant it with every fiber of her being. A pair of jets taxied for night training, their navigation lights cutting red and green paths through the gathering darkness. The lead aircraft paused at a runway threshold and lifted one wing, just a little, barely perceptible unless you knew to look for it. It looked like a salute, like a nod of recognition between warriors. In the operations building, analysts began the long work of turning a single victory into doctrine. AI algorithms would shift, threat libraries would expand, and training programs would evolve by increments that mattered. The enemy would learn from this defeat, and so would the defenders. On the ramp, the desert heat finally broke. Lisa stood alone for a moment more and let the day leave her bones, felt the weight of 15 years of exile transform into the lightness of purpose rediscovered. Then she turned toward the lights of the operations building, where briefing rooms held the promise of tomorrow's challenges. There would be more tests, more electronic duels fought in the invisible spectrum. There would be better traps, smarter algorithms, longer shadows cast by adversaries who learned from every engagement. But tonight, the skies were safe and the mathematics of electronic warfare belonged to the defenders. The ghost was back where she belonged, not haunting the margins of civilian life, but leading the charge into an uncertain but crucial future. She walked inside without ceremony, without speeches, without the fanfare that lesser victories might have demanded. Only work waited, the kind she understood best, the kind that mattered most. In Seat 12F of Flight 2336, a crossword puzzle lay forgotten, pen marks forming incomplete words that would never be finished. But in the electronic realm where modern wars were fought and won, every answer had been filled in with precision, skill, and the quiet courage of a legend who'd never stopped being what she was born to be. Sometimes the most extraordinary people are sitting right next to you, and you'd never know it. Lisa Reynolds spent 15 years invisible, forgotten by the system that once needed her most. But when that system faced its greatest threat, there was only one person who could save it. What hidden expertise do you carry? What skills have you set aside, thinking your time has passed? What crossword puzzles of your own life remain unfinished, waiting for the moment when everything you've learned suddenly matters again? Drop a comment below. Your moment might be closer than you think. And if this story moved you, subscribe for more incredible true stories of ordinary people who turned out to be legends in disguise. Because sometimes the ghost in the machine is exactly what we need to keep flying.